Bonjour, bonsoir, welcome, welcome to another video. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in this world, welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys an update on me heading abroad to China. Okay, it's like this. Okay, I found out from AI on my smartphone information. I asked AI on my smartphone about information about China. And I asked the question, is airports in China are strict? And AI said yes. Airports in China are strict. And they are. And as I was reading the information from AI, it says that security at airports will check the electronics that you're carrying. They'll check the electronics. If you have anything that's like, anti China or whatever. If I can remember this. Also, you got to have your passport out of your carry-on bag. Because if you keep sticking it into your carry-on bag and pulling it out, they will be all over you about that. And they will. So I'm gonna be going through all that strictness at that airport. But someone says this, that's just how it is. And I can't complain about it. There's nothing I can do about it. I just gotta go with the flow. I don't know if they're gonna have me take. I don't know if they're gonna take something away from me, and they want me to have it. Because China is very authoritarian, so it is what it is. But I'm not really worrying about that. All I care about is just getting on that cruise ship and just enjoying myself. I'm gonna be going on a cruise with some dysfunctional people, and I'm gonna be around dysfunctional people and strict airport security and security on the cruise ship. I don't think it's not going to be on a cruise ship. It's going to be when people are getting on board the cruise ship. So things are going to be very strict and very tight at an airport that I'm going to be at in Shanghai, China, after I get off that flight from Dallas Fort Worth International Airport, or DFW, in Dallas. So it's going to be a long flight from Dallas, Texas, United States, all the way to Shanghai, China. I think that's going to be about a 13-hour flight or longer. So it's going to be a long flight. So, yeah. So, I'm going to be up in the air for hours and hours and hours or more. 13, 14, or 15 hours or 20 hours. Probably. Yeah. I'm going to be on a long flight from where I am right now all the way to the authoritarian country known as China. But, I'm not going to worry about it because, I'm not going to live in that country, and I'm not. Yeah, because, every country in the world has rules, laws, and regulations that you have to obey. The U.S. has rules, laws, and regulations. And yeah, people say that China. People say that the United States has less freedom and has less freedom. Lesser than China. So yeah, but but the people in China compared to the U.S. The people in China are, as I heard from people here online, people in China are friendly, sociable, and down to earth, and easy to talk to. That's what I heard. And but there's some mixed there's some mixed stories coming out of China. Some people like China, some people don't like China. So this is going to be my first time going there. And it's not my idea to go to this country. I didn't plan this trip. I didn't plan a cruise where a cruise where I get on a where people get on a cruise ship and sail from Shanghai, China to South Korea, Japan, and back. I didn't plan that trip, and I didn't. It wasn't my idea. So I'm forced into this. I don't want to be honest with you, I have no interest in Asian countries, but I don't hate them, But there's some Asian countries I can go to, I can go to like let's see, the Philippines or Vietnam, places like that, countries like that. China, no. South Korea, no. Japan, no. Taiwan, no. So yeah, and all that strictness and all that authoritarianism that's going on in China, I can't let it bother me. All I can do is just follow the rules, do as I'm told, and just move on. There's gonna be some hurdles. There's gonna be some roughness and toughness through all of this, but I just gotta just take it and just move on. Just gotta relax. Because I remember before I went on that cruise in Italy back in 2023, that Mediterranean cruise. While I was doing a 2-hour layover at JFK or John F. Kennedy International Airport in New York City or New York. I didn't take everything out of my carry-on bag, and I took partial things. I took half of things out of my carry-on bag. I didn't put everything in the tote. And when I went to collect my things after I put everything in the tote and went through the X-ray machine, when I went to gather all my belongings, I noticed that I was missing some things. I was missing my Apple iPad Mini 2 and in the carry-on in the carrying case that it was in. And I lost it, and I was with my parents and my sister. My mother told me with an angry look on her face, "Tell those people where your things are." And I saw a TSA agent who had my iPad Mini too. She pulled it out. It was a woman. I went to get it. She wouldn't let me have it. Yeah, because TSA was created because of what happened on 9/11. Yeah, those two slime balls who slammed those planes into the World Trade Center building. But it was all on me because I didn't take everything out of my carry-on bag. And this went to a whirlwind of arguments and strictness. I raised they told me, the TSA agents told me to raise my arms up high and put my feet on the footprints on the floor, and they just, after that they just chewed me out and told me put my feet on the footprints on the floor. So they were all over me. And one of the TSA agents told me, just put it in the bag, just put it in the bag, just put it in the bag, just put it in the bag. I was just throwing stuff all over the place because of all the strictness and all the yelling. Yeah. So, I get startled. I just go crazy when I'm in when I'm in an incredibly rigid, strict environment, and and right now, I'm not like that anymore. I'm calmed down now, and I can't let that stuff get to me. It's going to be even worse at at that airport in Shanghai, China. So, but TSA agents at airports all over the U.S. They're not like the ones in New York. They're different. But looking at those TSA agents in New York, JFK, or John F. Kennedy International Airport to be specific. These people, I look at these people, and I'm looking at them, I think they're just a bunch of fast food restaurant worker rejects. I think they didn't make it as fast food workers, people who worked at like Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell, KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Five Guys, places like that. I think they failed as fast food employees. And my brother, he used to work at a fast food restaurant. He used to work at a burger flipping job. Wendy's. Yeah, he worked at Wendy's. Yeah, my brother flipped burgers. And also I had a cousin who used to work at a fast food restaurant. So, I got people, I got a brother, and I got relatives on my mother's side of the family that used to work at fast food restaurants. But anyway, those TSA agents at JFK in New York, I think they're a bunch of fast food worker rejects, and I can tell you why. After I came back from that flight, that terrible ITA Airways Italian flight from Rome, Italy, after that Mediterranean cruise ended. Yeah, got off that cruise ship and went to that airport in Rome, Italy. Caught a flight there and flew back from Rome, Italy to New York to do a 2-hour layover. Okay, I think when I arrived in New York at night with my parents and my sister, I was with them. Yeah, they were with me on that cruise, and they're gonna be with me on this upcoming cruise. After we arrived in New York, there was no flights available. There was no flights available for Dallas. You had to fly back to DFW in Dallas, so there was no flights available. So we had to stay at an airport, stay at a hotel next to JFK for airline pilots. Excuse me. Yeah, we had to stay at a hotel for airline pilots. It was next to JFK. It was called the TWA Hotel, and it had a lounge in it. It was had cars from the '60s. The furniture, the tables, everything was straight out of the 1960s, and music from the '60s was playing through the speakers in that place. It was a very retro place. And my dad went and bought some rooms there. And there was nowhere for us to go. We didn't know anything about New York. So we stayed there, then the next day, and when we left, Yeah, I had a sore throat, and went to buy. Yeah. I told my dad I wanted to buy some. I told my dad I want to go buy something to drink and something to snack on, and he told me don't spend too much time because we gotta leave. Okay, I went and bought a bag of chips and a ball of Minute Maid lemonade. When I went to pay for these things, this was at the TWA hotel before I left with my parents to go to JFK to catch that flight, to catch a flight back to Dallas because all the flights were available. Yeah, the flights for Dallas weren't available after coming back from Europe on that crappy, horrible, miserable ITA Airways flight. There was no flights available for DFW. Okay, this is the next day. Okay, when I went to pay for a bag of potato chips and a ball of Minute Maid lemonade that I wanted to buy, the cashier was some people there, and it was a black guy, and he asked me this. He saw what I was buying, and he said this to me: "That's all you want?" And I said, well, yeah, that's all I wanted. I should have said this. I should have said this to him. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Like, what, you want me to buy everything in here? That's what I should have said to him, but I didn't say that. Okay, they told me what the price was. They just turned the monitors around and showed me what the price was, and I just paid for it. It was kind of strange. Just turn the monitor and show me how much for the bag of chips and the ball of Minute Maid lemonade. Okay, after that, through the TSA through the TSA checkpoint at JFK. Okay, all right. I went through I went through the security checkpoint, the put all your things, where you put all your things in the tote, all your belongings, you take everything out of your carry-on bag and put everything in the tote, and it goes through the machine, and the x-ray machine, when it comes out of the x-ray machine, you collect all your things, you'll be on your way. Okay, I did that. Okay, after the tote went through the machine, the x-ray machine, I went to collect everything out of the tote after I put everything in the tote. I noticed I was missing something. I was missing a shoe. I took off my shoes and I put my shoes into the tote with everything from my carry-on bag. And I put the carry-on bag in the tote. They wanted to collect all my things. I noticed that I was missing a shoe. I said, and I went and told one of those TSA agents. I say this to them. I went to say this to a black guy who was wearing a mask. I think he was doing COVID. Yeah, like people stop wearing masks now. Okay, I said, hey, I'm missing a shoe. My shoe is missing. Do you know where it is? And he mumbled something to me. I guess he told me I got to go and wait. I just backed off, and I told my dad, this doesn't make any sense. And my dad was completely silent and didn't say anything. And I just sit and waited and waited and waited and waited. Then my shoe came up. My other shoe came up, and I put my shoe back on. This was before after I collected all my items and put everything back in the put everything back in my carry-on bag and put my shoes on. I put one shoe on, but I was missing the other. Okay, after the other shoe showed up, I put the other shoe on and I was on my way. So, I'm thinking that those TSA agents were scoping me. Because because I had a laptop, a notebook computer in my luggage bag, You know, I think they X-rayed it and they thought it was a bomb or something. So, you know, yeah. So yeah, and this happens to everybody. I mean, I read about this woman online, I think like Quota or something, and she talked about she got some books from a foreign country and she put it in her luggage bag. And when she got home and when she opened up her luggage bag, she saw a pamphlet from TSA stating that they checked her bag, and it's because they thought the books were were bombs. So yeah, again, you know, all this strictness, you know, ain't no strict repress, and you know, I think of Winston Wu, the founder of Happier Abroad. You know, he talked about this. You know, he talked about America and its laws are very strict, anal, and repressed. And I noticed he never talked about China, because I think he'd been to China. He never talked about it. I guess he feel that this is how it is, and he doesn't care about all of that. All he cares about is social human connection, talking to people, connecting with people, you know, seeing nature, you know, seeing sights and everything. You know, and speaking of sights and everything, you know, and nature, you know, and I kind of like this. I kind of like that stuff too. You know, take a look at the trees. See, you know, there's a lot of trees where I live. Look at this. Lots of trees. Lots of them. Yeah. Okay, so it's a fence right there. And I think I remember in my previous videos, someone from the UK commented on one of the videos on this YouTube channel and said that fences like this are very ugly. And they said that okay, I think I was in Overton, Texas, and I did a video there, and that person from the United Kingdom or Britain commented it and said that there's a lot of, you know, and he said this, I can remember what he said. He said this: the new Manchester is better than the old Manchester, I guaranteed. But, you know, yeah, except for the fence is very ugly and there's some drainage issues. Yeah, because he saw all the water on the ground because, you know, it rained and there was a lot of water around. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the new Manchester is a dump. I'm referring to the United States, not my channel. Yeah, not the YouTube channel. Yeah, the YouTube channel. This YouTube channel is just garbage. Yeah, there's some bad videos on this channel. You know, there's some good videos on this channel and there's some bad ones, you know. So I'm not gonna get into the history of this channel. So this is my update video of me going abroad to China. So I'm gonna be going through a lot of hoops and hurdles and red tape and yellow tape while I'm in China, Shanghai. So and before I end this video, speaking of China, Hong Kong. You guys know about Hong Kong? Yeah, Hong Kong is a home of martial arts, martial artist and actor Bruce Lee. I think there's a statue of Bruce Lee in Hong Kong. So, you know, Hong Kong, you know, Hong Kong is part of China, but a long time ago, before 1997, Hong Kong was part of the United Kingdom. Yeah, that's right. Let me repeat this again. Before the year 1997, Hong Kong was part of Britain. Hong Kong was part of Britain. Hong Kong was part of the United Kingdom. And yeah, yeah, it was well, I'm not gonna say this, I'm gonna say that it was part of the UK. And in 1997, Britain handed Hong Kong back to China. And I went on Google Maps. I saw Hong Kong. Hong Kong had everything left over from Britain in it. People driving on the left side of the road. British style buses, the English language, everything in Hong Kong that was left over from Britain. And my dad told me, people in Hong Kong want to be part of Britain. And and I said this, I think China messed up when it got when it got Hong Kong back from Britain. China made a mistake when it got when it received Hong Kong from Britain, when Britain handed it over to it, gave Hong Kong back to China. So and Hong Kong is a thorn in the side of China. And I think I watched some videos on YouTube that people in Hong Kong was rebelling against China. But the authoritarianism in China is too strong. Yeah, and Xi Jinping, the president of China is going to remind them that they are part of China if they like it or not. So I don't know. I'm not going to get into that, I don't know. I'm just going to see how this is going to play out. Will Hong Kong overthrow China, or China will crush Hong Kong completely? Well, that's up in the air, and I'm not going to get into that. So just got to just sit on the sidelines and just watch this and just give your thoughts. You guys can give your thoughts on this. I can give my thoughts on this. So anyway, that's all I gotta say in this video. Au revoir. Goodbye. Cheers. I wonder if they say cheers in Hong Kong like they do in Britain, and also in Australia and New Zealand. Oh no. Yeah. Anyway, goodbye.